Hey guys, this is Uncle Doug coming to you from the basement of one of the ministry houses here in Liberty, Missouri. I am behind on making some videos. I'm sorry about that. Trying to get caught up, trying to get you some other faces on here too. I want to make a video. Well, I was told to make a video. Being honest with you guys, trying to share some of what life is like here for me and maybe what you can expect when you commit yourselves to serve the Lord completely. In the last few weeks, we've had to juggle a lot of stuff. We lost Ransom and Sharon. Ransom, I think his heart just gave out. He'd had congestive heart failure, and they sent him home, and he still had pneumonia, had a lot of swelling, but they sent him home anyway, and that night he passed away. I believe the hospital was negligent, but I also believe it was his time, and it's not for us to, you know, fight with the hospital. Sharon had liver failure, an infection in her liver. Her kidneys were already failing and had been. They'd been causing her trouble for a while. She went to one hospital, they transferred to another. They transferred her to KU Med Center, and promptly she passed away. I don't know if this is a commentary on Obamacare and all this stuff, but I know when you call hospice, they start pumping you full of morphine to get it over with quick so they can move on to somebody else. And that's, yeah. Anyway, seems to be the way. When Mary Jo was sick a year or two ago, hospice was here for excuse me, quite some time, but um, still, she was drugged up most all the time, and even was you give her a button, just bump, bump, bump. Well, you're gonna the more drugged up you get, the more you're gonna want to keep hitting that button until they cut you off or something. Anyway, so having to call family, can't find Sharon's family, can't get a hold of them. Left messages, the only number we had, didn't hear back. Having to clear out their apartments and settle their stuff and notify whoever. Divide up their stuff. Rusty would have liked his walking stick, and Matthew would have liked his baseball hat, and Doug would have liked his pocket knife, and books. Some that he borrowed didn't get back. Some whatever. Some from the library got to get returned. All that kind of stuff. Cindy's been busy with that all this week. I've been home mostly interceding. We're at a crossroads because we can't do anything in the cave. Can't pull a permit to build anything because the septic system, they say, even though it was big enough for 45 employees at the haunted house, code has changed and now it's undersized. It's not big enough for anybody. Like, not anybody. Or, I don't know. What anyway? So we had to get the septic inspected. It got a clean bill of health, works fine, but they're saying, oh, well, it's undersized. Okay, well, undersized for what? I got 2 or 3 people working at the farm. That's not excessive. You know, we got one toilet, a couple of sinks, and a shower. Operational. The whole haunted house is all disconnected. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's there, so we're assuming you're using it. So we're assuming you're using 3,000 gallons of water a day. I'm like, but my water bill says I'm using 4,000 gallons a month. You know, not 90,000 gallons a month. Yeah, but it doesn't matter because we count the number of sinks and toilets and whatever, and whether you're using them or not. Okay, well, I'll take them out. Well, no, the pipes are still there. You could put them back, so that doesn't count. Oh. So I got 2 or 3 people, and I got to build a septic system or something that'll handle all these whatever people that I don't have. Yeah, but the septic that's there used to handle them. Yeah, we know, but code changed. Oh, and this is going to cost how many thousands of dollars? We don't know. You got to hire an engineer, and they'll tell you what to build, and then we will approve it. Oh, okay. Meantime, bills keep coming. I'm paying for both places. Trying to listen to the Lord. I was I was on the phone with Chris LaSala last week, and there's a lot of misinformation. But I guess people talk and they speculate and they armchair quarterback and stuff like that. And he said, I think, I think you're being distracted by building this thing, this farm, instead of doing ministry. I said, well, I think you're distracted by building your farm and not doing much ministry. He's like, oh, well, yeah. I said, there's a season to build stuff. There's a season to reap, a season to sow, a season to grind and to make the bread and to do all of these things. I had somebody the other day get in my face and says, "Where's the new revelation?" I'm like, I wrote 8 books. The Lord said, that's it. You got what you need. Now go implement it. Why do we have to have constantly new revelation instead of getting to the hard work of actually doing the stuff the revelation told us to do? I wrote a column for the Excelsior Springs. They've been putting my articles in the faith section of the Excelsior Springs paper lately. I haven't got picked up by Reuters or anything yet, but in that little town, they're making some waves, I guess. And I wrote an article called "Forget Pokemon, Christians Go." I've been watching these videos of all of these people, and even around Liberty and whatever, people just walking around with their Pokemon thing. Okay, great. They're out. They're getting exercise. They're meeting other people. They're playing games together. But what would it take to get all the Christians together in the park? Can't do it. Can't do it. Somebody plays instruments. Church of Christ is going home. Somebody speaks in tongues. The Baptists are going home. Mormons probably wouldn't show up. They think they're the only right ones anyway. But if they did, nobody'd know what to do. And I just suggested to the folks in Excelsior Springs, or whoever's reading the article, that we're one body. That there is a church of Excelsior Springs. There is a church of Liberty. There is a church of your town. And we need to act like it. We need to get about being one body. And we need to go through our day looking for the other Christians. Try to find them all, catch them all. And as we're in the grocery store or in our business or in traffic or whatever, and we find one, we ought to give them a hug and get their phone number and pray with them and let them know we love them, regardless of what building they're in on Sunday morning. I think somebody ought to write an app for Fellowship of the Martyrs and let people register. And it can geolocate them, and you can find other people. And maybe they're a long way away. Yeah, I understand. Okay, during tribulation, they want to round you up. It'd be real easy to just look at the app and find all the Christians. And I understand it could be used for wrong things. The Pokemon Go is being used for wrong things already. People are, the police here in town have been going to where these people are congregating and asking them for ID and asking them to empty their pockets and stuff. And it's basically like a roadside drunk driving stop. Because a lot of people that don't normally get out of their house are on foot. And so the cops can stop them and find a joint in their pocket or something and are using it. Anyway, I watch videos in New York, man. It's just snarling up traffic and it's crazy. Maybe we ought to have one. Maybe it ought to be part of City Saver. Maybe we ought to have one for the Christians where I understand it's not going to work in China. I understand it's not going to work in North Korea or Myanmar or places where it's a closed country. And I understand how dangerous it could be in Iran or someplace. But you know what? As long as we've got a little bit of freedom, we ought to find each other. And it wouldn't be that hard for somebody to write an app and us promote it out there all over the place where you could find the real Christians that want fellowship, that want to pray together, that love the Lord with all their heart. You know, how hard could it be? Somebody watching this has got the skills to build an app that would geolocate people and, you know, other people could connect with them or something. I don't know. I just know we need tools and we don't have them. And I got interviewed a couple weeks ago by Sheila Zielinski, who's got a radio show called The Weekend Vigilante, which I guess is fairly popular out of Canada. I hadn't heard of her before, but other people are like, oh yeah, I know her. I get interviewed. We have a great hour-long conversation. She says it'll be out in the channel on hold, and does a GoFundMe for $10,000 and isn't going to put more shows up until the money comes. Well, I never thought of doing that. Seems a little witchcrafty, controlling, but that's Cindy. Call her in a minute. Anyway, so I was all excited about this radio show being out there and letting you guys know, and then it's not. Right now we got 2 or 3 vehicles, probably actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 vehicles broke down. 6 if you count Ransom's little car we never did get running. Don't have the money to fix most of them, or somebody here to do it, willing, or mostly I think it's just parts. We set aside money to do a soil study, which we had to do to figure out if we could enlarge the septic or not. After I paid the septic guy to come out and give it a clean bill of health, he said, yes, it works fine. It's undersized. It's below code. So I go to them and I'm like, how could it be undersized for 3 people? It works fine. It handled 45. Well, code changed. We don't let anybody put in that size anymore. You need more lateral field. I'm like, okay, well, how do I do that? Well, you can't just do that. You got to have a soil study with an engineer and see if your dirt down there will absorb enough that you can put another lateral. Oh, man. How much is that going to be? $700. Oh, man. All right. So we have an engineer come and do a soil study. No, doesn't look like you can enlarge the septic, the lateral field enough. Probably need a lagoon. Ugh. Okay, well okay, so that's the cheaper option, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I already dug a pond that's not holding water. Could I use that? Oh, maybe. Have to measure it and see and figure your flow rates and whatever and do up an engineering study. How much is that going to cost? Oh, I don't know, but more. Oh, and then we put it in ourselves, right? Yeah, you could do that. Yeah, no problem. Okay, rent a backhoe, buy pipe, whatever. Then we're good to go. We could pull permits, move the animals into the cave again, get a hotel or whatever going, get something, start looking at maybe trying to build some other stuff. Yep, yep. Okay, whatever. I don't know what's up with the federal lawsuit. One lawyer was all green lights till they found Dr. Phil. Said, oh, I don't know. We're Christian and you're Christian, but we're a little scared what you guys are all about. Like, dude, it's all made up. How can you not see it's made up? Well, send us some references of other ministries. We'll call them and we'll see. Like, I don't have mega churches that like me. When you're a reformer, George Fox could not probably make a list of pastors that would say nice things about him when he was all the time getting in trouble, thrown into stocks and locked up for those guys. Look up George Fox. He's the founder of the Quakers, 1700s. You know, John the Baptist, Jesus probably didn't have a lot of Pharisees that were going to sign off on their ministry. But I sent him some references, folks that know us and love us, and they didn't call him. Didn't call a one of them. They sent me a letter. Oh, sorry, you're not a good fit. We're not going to help. Yeah. Yeah, okay. I'm making this video to be transparent. I've said over and over that in the last days we're going to have to twirl. We're going to have to rejoice like the world's never seen at a time when nobody else in the world could figure how it's possible. We're going to have to believe that the Lord's got everything under control when everything looks like it's not under control. We're going to be called all kinds of names, particularly by the Pharisees. And the world will say you're deluded, you're insane, you're narcissistic, you're anything because you trust God all the way. And they don't like that. They want moderates. They don't want radicals. They don't want true believers. They want moderates. Flexible, mushy, gummy bear believers in whatever it is. Just equivocate and the world will love you. It's all a gray area. There's all kinds of paths to heaven. Everybody's a little bit right. Okay. You say, no, he's the only way. And you mean it, and you act like you mean it, and you live a life as if you mean it, you're a radical. You're a radical. You're on the fringe. And it's true, you are on the fringe. You're out On the bell curve, you're way, way out there. They don't know what to do with you. You know, if you do a bell curve, okay, you understand a bell curve? It's if you average out, let's say IQ, the vast majority of people are in the range up here between 80 and 120. The most frustrating people in the world are over 200 and under 50. You can't you can't hardly talk to them. You can't hardly make sense of them either way, and they can't hardly make sense of you. And you get high enough out to the fringes, neither one of them can figure out how to put their clothes on right or wipe their butt. Anyway, I find the same is true with religion. The vast majority of people are in this little range right in here. Average. C students. I don't care if it's Wicca or Satanism or the Methodists or the Baptists or the Assemblies of God or whatever, Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses, most of them are not entirely sure what they stand for, can't exactly regurgitate what they believe, go to church, sit in the pews, go to the drum circles, go to the whatever psychic fairs, but aren't aware, aren't switched on, aren't fully on board. It's rare. I've met people on the other team, and they look at me and I look at them, and we know, yeah, I got you. I'm watching you. Most time, nothing. Nothing. Most time, you go into church, even a prophetic, apostolic, spirit filled, whatever church, maybe one person in there is like, dude, you're shiny. I got a word for you. Okay. And it's right. And it's dead on. The other 600, nothing. Pastor, usually nothing. I'm frustrated because there's people on YouTube, secular folks. I check their channels out once in a while, and bam, they're up another million viewers, subscribers. They're, you know, and like compounding interest. First 100,000 is hard. Then you get to a million, and then 2 million, 3 million, 4 million. It just goes faster and faster because there's more people out there spreading the word, more people forwarding it to their friends, more people getting it out to all over, and your videos go viral more often, and they're you keep the quality up and the interest up, and it's just going to keep building and building. I'm not so interested in the numbers, but I am interested in reach. I do believe that God's told us some things, showed us some things that are helpful, that bless people, that change things, that bring people closer to God, that help them hear God better. And I want as many people to hear that as possible. I want as many people as possible to learn how to get their cup full, to realize the reality of spiritual warfare, to stop being cessationist. I want to say whatever I have to get their attention. But I'm not gonna I'm not gonna do some gimmick. I'm not gonna, you know, I don't know. I don't know. I need you to understand the reality. If you don't know it already, the dying to self is going to hurt. That the baptism of fire is a long, hard process. And some don't ever get there because they tell the Lord no on something hard. I've got, I don't know, 50 people here looking to me to hear God right. Where do we spend the money? Do we fix this car? Do we pay the gas bill? Do we get feed for the chickens? Oh, that's right. We don't have chickens. The raccoons ate them all. Do we fix the chicken coop so the raccoons can't get in and eat the chickens? Well, we don't really need to do that because we don't have any chickens. Should we buy more chickens? Well, we can't really do that because the trucks broke down. Can we fix the truck? Well, nobody wants to work on that Triton V8 because just changing the spark plugs is a nightmare. And all it needs is some plugs, but nobody wants to do it because it's a hassle in a van to even get to it. Oh. And everybody looks to me. And I tell them it's not a pyramid. It's not one guy at the top. You're supposed to be a swarm of bees. You're supposed to listen to the Lord, do what He tells you. Oh, well, He's telling me to sit and be quiet this week and not go work at the farm. Oh, yeah? Really? Okay. Maybe He is. Well, let the Lord work that out with you. We had a young man here for 2 or 3 years. Daniel, you know who you are. Not the Daniel that's here now. Man pushed me in ways I didn't think it was even possible to be pushed. Said things to me that most pastors I know would punch him in the nose for. Slept under the dining room table 3 years in a corner. And if I asked him to help, he would say I was preaching a works-based salvation and that wasn't God. Would tell me how nobody here is a Christian, nobody here is anointed, nobody here can help him with anything. He was here one day. I said, what do you think's my problem? I said, it's your dad filter. You can't relate to God right. He said, no, I don't think it's that. I said, really, tell me about your dad. Well, my dad was a Muslim who beat me and made me do morning, afternoon, and evening prayers all the time and was merciless with me and finally left my mom and I grew up without a dad. And, oh, yeah, really? And you don't think it's your dad filter? No, no, that's not it. He was here for 3 years or more. I don't even remember. The one thing he would never receive from me. When it was finally time for him to leave, he says, well, I can tell you, Doug, you're not a cult. Because no cult would have put up with me this long. No, just the love of Jesus. So he said, I got to give you that. I'm never going to call you a cult because nobody would have put up with me like you have. Every time we'd have a group of young men show up here. He'd convince them to have a Bible study around the dining room table and teach them. Oh, don't help at the pantry. Don't help at the thrift store. Don't help on the food run. That's a works-based salvation. You got to stay here and listen to me teach you. Okay. He'd go on and on about how Dr. Michael Brown is so holy. Dr. Michael Brown's the only man of God that I've can find anywhere. Really? Why don't you call him and ask to go stay at his house? So he did. Dr. Michael Brown said, find you a nice local church and listen to your pastor. Anyway, he pushed all my buttons, and it was a regular thing for me to pray, Lord, put a love in my heart for this kid, because otherwise I won't pound him into the ground. And the Lord would break my heart for him and love him some more, enough to get through another day or another year or whatever. And he left and promptly blocked me and started telling everybody we were a cult. Thankfully, my heart was well prepared for that, since it was like the, I don't know, upteenth person that said they were my best friend. I love you, man. I'm right here with you. I get what you're doing. I'd go to the airport, put my hand on the glass. I'm coming right back. I'm just going to go home and pack. And I'm coming. I want to be a part of this. I get it. I see the vision. I'm on board. I'll be back in 2 weeks. 3 or 4 days later, they got a video up. How I'm a cult leader and everything's whacked. And we even had a couple that came, lied their butt off. Hey, I'm just here to see what's going on and whatever. We're here 3 or 4 days, and then put up videos. God sent me on a discovery mission to find out what was wrong there. And they welcomed me with open arms. Can you believe it? And they were nice to me. And they fed me, and they never asked me for anything, and they're a cult. Huh? And all the food they get at the food pantry, they eat themselves. They're not sharing with anybody. Like, really, dude? You think 30 people can eat 500,000 pounds of food a year? That's what we're harvesting. I can show you the records. Do the math. We would be eating like 20,000 pounds of food a day per person or some crazy whatever. No, it don't work like that. He recanted a little bit, apologized, not to me, apologized for exaggerating and lying to his viewers, who should know that he can be trusted, but he wasn't accurate. Didn't lie to me, didn't apologize to me, didn't apologize for coming in on false pretenses, didn't apologize for being one of the false brethren that try to spy out our liberty and twist it all up. Anyway, you're going to be lied about. You're going to be slandered. You're going to be utterly dependent on God. And that's the best place to be if you want to hear Him. People ask me, what do I have to do to hear God? Well, sell all you have and give it to the poor. Works. I got a bunch of people can confirm that. Say you're sorry you haven't been hearing Him all along and acknowledge it's your fault, not His. That helps. Believe that He wants to talk to you and will if you'll turn the noise off and listen. Helps. I'm not sure how well you can hear God with a TV around. First thing I do, if I stay at a hotel, is unplug the TV. I think you should expect it to be hard. I think you should expect him to run you on empty most of the time and have to trust him for money and believe that he's going to tell somebody to help. It's a very strange thing. I'm going to do a martyrdom video in a minute about seeing Jesus. And it seems to fly in the face of all of this worry and stress and weight. I don't understand exactly how he says, give your eyes no rest until peace comes to Jerusalem, to raise up your wailing women, to coo like doves and growl like bears, to travail when the locusts have eaten everything, and yet rejoice in all things. In all things give thanks. The closest I can come is, Psalm 53, 4, 5, 6, somewhere in there. There's several chapters in a row where the righteous remnant, or David writing the Psalms, but I think it has a bigger application. And are like our enemy encircles us, we're getting pounded into the ground, we're mocked and spit on, we're made fun of, they've put a snare in front of us, and yet we will praise you, O Lord, our rescuer, our redeemer. I'm getting gray fast. I'm sitting at the computer too much. I'm having to wrestle administrative things all the time, answer emails. I gave up trying to answer the YouTube private messages like 2 years ago. A lot of the emails I can't get answered. I don't think it's because we're off track. I think it's because a lot of people aren't obeying. There are people that are supposed to be here, that are supposed to be helping answer the email, that ran away. There are people that are supposed to be taking some of the load off of me, but they're not here because they ran away, refused to obey God or whatever. I look at lots of ministries where the people in charge have holes in their shoes and they're loving the Lord or they're getting pounded on. Brian Duncan, one of my favorite people, here in Independence, I've talked about him before and called him last week, and he's pretty well disabled and not much older than me, and I never see anybody loves as good as he does. It humbles me. Every time I talk to him, I cry because it convicts me that he loves better than I do, especially the homeless. I've never seen anything like it. And he's stuck in a wheelchair with this debilitating bone disease. And I call him, and he's like, didn't shoot myself today. Had a gun in my mouth. Couldn't take the pain. Trying not to be mad at God, but didn't shoot myself today. And I'm not quite there. But I can't say I understand his pain. You put your hand to the plow to make a difference, he's going to be real close. He's going to talk to you. He's going to help you. He'll navigate you through this mess. If you're not obeying, odds are good. Odds are good you're not going to hear God. Things are going to get haywire. Without meaning this in a self-serving way, excuse me, if God told you to give money to this ministry or some other ministry or your cousin or whatever, and you didn't do it, that'll clog you up. You better go ahead and do it. Say you're sorry. Ask him to unclog you. He told you to quit smoking and you won't, that'll clog you up. I know that what we're doing here is important. I know that we're building a refuge. I know that we're a landing place for airplanes to come in, get refueled, get patched up, and fly back out of here to go do what God's telling them to do. I know that this is the least cult-like of any place I've ever seen. I know that I'm just urging people to God. I know that Satan desperately wants to stop what we're doing and is using everything possible to stop it. There's supposed to be people that are supposed to help that aren't helping. People that were supposed to send money that didn't. People that are supposed to move here and didn't. We're constantly doing 3 or 4 people's jobs because they're not here like they're supposed to be. Or they got disillusioned, or they left, or they were rebuked and they didn't want to say they were sorry or whatever. And I don't know. I don't know how to get from here to there, honestly. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Thank you for giving me the strength. And I know that I'll continue to endure, as will all those that are out there that are getting pounded on. All the little sheep, the little lonely sheep dwelling in captivity in the midst of the world, flourishing like willows in the desert, somehow getting fed. And I know you're faithful and true. Please pray for us. I can't express the severity and the mercy of God, the justice and the love of God, the wrath and the tenderness of God. And he disciplines those that he loves, and he puts them through the ringer to make them stronger, to make them have the scar tissue that looks like Jesus. And this does call for patient endurance from the saints. And what's coming will require more, so we're learning now. I know I'm being put through my paces, and I expect you are too. I wouldn't trade it for anything. There's nowhere else to go. There's no other game in town. But sometimes it looks like he's trying to get you to turn on him, to see if you will. And you mustn't. Then you come out the other side, and everything will be better. He'll explain why. It'll be beautiful. I've been through it a bunch of times. on increasingly important scales. This is a big one right now. I feel like we're at a crossroads and he's going to have to do something real big for us to do all the things he's telling us to do. Or else. Or else what? There is nowhere else. All there is depending on him. There's just wait and then obey. And wait and obey and wait and obey. Anyway, I'm going to try and do another video here yet today if I can. Love you all. Thanks for watching. Pray for us. If the Lord's telling you to do something, do it. If you were supposed to send money, do it. If you were supposed to send a birthday card to your mom or your brother or whatever, do it. Whatever he's telling you to do, be sure it's him and then do it. Don't tell him no. Love you all. Thanks for listening. Please pray for me.